The first time I saw the necklace again, my whole body went cold. It was hanging on the neck of a woman in a cream gown, standing under bright lights at a big event in Victoria Island, Lagos. Cameras were flashing, rich people were smiling, waiters were moving like they were trained soldiers, but I was not looking at the lights. I was looking at the small gold necklace with a tiny leaf pendant. The same necklace my mother pressed into my palm before she died. The same necklace I gave away when I was a homeless orphan boy on the streets. The woman touched it gently, like it was the most precious thing she owned. Then she turned her face slightly, and I saw her eyes. My breath caught. "Lucy," I whispered, even though no one heard me. Because if that was Lucy, then it meant my childhood promise had found me. And that meant something else too. Someone had lied. Behind me, my assistant leaned close and said, "Sir, the guest you asked us to watch just arrived." I didn't answer him. Lucy started walking toward the main doors, surrounded by people who looked like security, and without thinking, I stepped forward to follow. That was when a tall man in a dark suit blocked my path and said very calmly, "Mr. Ethan, you cannot go after her." I stared at him. "Move." He didn't move. He only said, "If you go after her now, you will regret it for the rest of your life." My fist tightened, because I had spent years dreaming of this moment, and now someone was telling me to stay back. Let me take you back to where it started. Back to the day I was nobody. Back to when Lagos did not know my name. I was about 18 years old then. My clothes were always dusty. My slippers were always torn. Most times my stomach was empty. I slept behind a closed shop at night. In the morning, I washed my face with water from a public tap and prayed that someone would pity me. I was an orphan. I had no father, and I had lost my mother not long before that. She was sick for a long time, but she still tried to smile for me. On her last day, she pulled me close, even though her body was weak. "Ethan," she said, struggling to speak, "this necklace was given to me by my mother. It is not expensive, but it is ours. It means love. It means you never forget where you came from." Her hand shook as she placed it in my palm. "Don't sell it," she warned. "Don't throw it away. One day, it will remind you who you are." I didn't understand everything, but I held it like my life depended on it. Not long after, she died. And the world became loud and cold. Relatives I had never seen came around for 2 days, took what little we had, and disappeared. After that, I was alone. That was how I became a street boy in Lagos. One afternoon, I was sitting near a busy area not far from Marina, watching cars pass like they did not care who was hungry. People were buying snacks, people were laughing, people were living, and I was just there, hoping. A girl was standing there. She looked about my age. Her hair was neatly packed, her dress was simple but clean, her shoes were shiny. She didn't look like someone who belonged on the street. The girl bent down and picked up my coins, one by one. She placed them back into my tin can carefully. "Are you hurt?" she asked. I shook my head, even though my heart was beating fast. Then she did something I will never forget. She brought out a small paper bag from her handbag. The smell alone almost made me cry. She opened it and handed me a meat pie and a small bottle of water. "Eat," she said. I stared at it like it was magic. "Go on," she added softly. "It's yours." I took it with shaking hands and ate like someone who has just been released from prison. She watched me quietly. After a moment, she asked, "What is your name?" "Ethan," I said between bites. "I'm Lucy," she replied. I looked up at her face properly. Her eyes were calm, but they looked lonely too. Like she had many things, but not enough of what truly mattered. "Lucy," I repeated like I wanted to store her name inside my head forever. She sat beside me on the low pavement, not caring about her clean dress. "Do you come here often?" I asked. She hesitated. "Sometimes." That answer made me curious. But I didn't push. When I finished eating, I felt warmth in my chest for the first time in a long time. Not just because of the food, but because someone had looked at me like I was human. I swallowed hard and said, "Thank you." Lucy nodded. "You're welcome." Then I remembered the necklace in my pocket, the one thing my mother told me never to give away. But in that moment, I did not think about rules. I thought about kindness. I pulled it out slowly and showed her. Lucy's eyes widened. It's pretty. It's my mother's, I said. Her face softened. Oh. I held it out to her. Take it. Lucy's mouth opened. No, Ethan, that is yours. I shook my head. My mother said it means love. You gave me food. You defended me. That is love. She looked like she wanted to refuse again. So I said the words that changed everything. Please, be my wife when I grow up and become rich. Lucy froze. I didn't even know why I said it like that. It just came out from somewhere deep inside me, like a promise my heart had been waiting to speak. Then Lucy laughed, but her laugh was not rude. It was surprised, sweet, and a little sad. Ethan, she said gently, you're just a boy. I'm serious, I insisted. One day I will be rich. I will wear fine clothes. I will have a big house. And I will find you. Lucy stared at me for a long moment. Then she slowly took the necklace. And she did something that made my chest tight. She put it on immediately. I will keep it, she said. I promise. I nodded like a man signing an agreement. But Lagos is not a city that allows sweet moments to stay sweet for long. Because as Lucy stood up to leave, a black SUV pulled up sharply by the roadside. The back door opened, and a woman stepped out. She looked expensive. Her hair was perfect. Her face was hard. She pointed at Lucy and snapped, Lucy, what are you doing here? Lucy's shoulders stiffened. Rachel, Lucy whispered. The woman, Rachel, walked closer and her eyes landed on me. Her face changed immediately. What is this? She asked, disgust in her voice. Who is this dirty boy? Lucy moved in front of me like she was shielding me. He's Ethan. He's enough. Rachel cut in. Get inside the car, now. Lucy turned to me quickly. Her eyes looked scared. Ethan, she said fast, I will come back. Rachel grabbed her arm. Lucy stumbled. The necklace swung on her neck and caught the light. I reached out without thinking. Don't take her. Rachel looked at me like I was an insect. Then she did something that made my blood run cold. She nodded at the driver, and the driver stepped toward me, not to talk, not to warn, to grab me. Lucy screamed, stop, but the driver's hand was already reaching for my shirt. And that was the moment I realized something terrible. Lucy was not just a kind girl. Lucy was a girl from a world that did not want boys like me near her, and they were ready to hurt me to prove it. The driver's hand never reached my shirt, not because he changed his mind, but because Lucy screamed my name like her life depended on it. Ethan! The sound cut through the street. People turned. A few traders paused. Someone dropped a bag of oranges. Rachel froze. She hated attention. Get in the car, she hissed at Lucy, lowering her voice. Now! Lucy shook her head. Her hands were trembling, but she stood her ground. Don't touch him, she said. Please. Rachel's lips tightened. She glanced around, saw eyes watching, and forced a smile that did not reach her face. Fine, she said coldly. We are leaving. She turned sharply and entered the SUV. Lucy looked at me one last time. Her eyes were shiny, like she was trying not to cry. I will come back, she mouthed. Then the door shut. The car drove away. And just like that, Lucy disappeared from my life. For weeks I went back to the same spot. Every day, same pavement, same traffic noise, same smell of food from nearby shops. I kept hoping I would see her again. She never came. At night I touched the empty space around my neck where the necklace used to hang. My mother's voice echoed in my head, but I did not regret giving it to Lucy, not once. Life on the streets became harder. The boys who bullied me came back, bolder now. One of them, Jotham, enjoyed pushing me around. Where is your rich wife now? He mocked one afternoon, kicking my tin can again. I said nothing, because deep inside me, something had changed. I had made a promise, and even though I was just a boy, that promise began to grow with me. Years passed. I did small jobs. I carried loads. I washed cars. I slept anywhere available. One day, a man noticed me fixing a broken crate behind his shop. You're smart, he said. You want to learn a trade? That question saved my life. I became an apprentice. I learned. I failed. I learned again. By the time I was 18, I could fix machines better than most grown men. I never stopped dreaming, never stopped telling myself, I will be rich. I will find Lucy. Now let me bring you back to the present. Back to the bright hall in Victoria Island. Back to the necklace. The guard was still blocking me. If you go after her, he warned again, you will regret it. I stepped closer to him and spoke quietly. I have regretted many things in my life, I said. Missing her will not be one of them. He searched my face, then he stepped aside. I followed Lucy outside. She was standing near a black SUV, arguing with a woman. Not Rachel. This woman was younger, elegant, calm. Tessie, Lucy said sharply, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, Tessie replied. That man inside, Ethan, is powerful and dangerous. I stopped. Dangerous? Lucy shook her head. No, you don't know him. Tessie sighed. Lucy, you are already wealthy. You don't need trouble. That was when Lucy turned and saw me. Her eyes widened. The world went silent. Ethan? She whispered. I nodded slowly. Lucy. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Lucy's hand flew to her neck. The necklace was still there, still shining, still mine, still hers. I never took it off, she said, her voice shaking, not even once. My throat burned. I saw it, I replied. That's how I knew it was you. Tessie looked between us. You know each other? Lucy swallowed. He's the boy I told you about. Tessie stiffened. The street boy? I ignored the words. Lucy, I said, we need to talk. She hesitated, then she nodded. Yes, we do. But before she could take a step toward me, a familiar voice cut in. Lucy. We both turned. Rachel was standing behind us, watching, smiling. And that smile told me one thing clearly, she had not forgotten me, and she had not forgiven me. Her eyes dropped to the necklace, then lifted to my face. So, she said softly, the orphan is back. Lucy moved closer to me, and that was when Rachel said the words that made my heart stop. You think he found you by coincidence? She asked Lucy. Or do you think he planned this? Lucy frowned. What are you saying? Rachel leaned in. Ask him. She looked straight at me. Ask him why he is really here. And in that moment I realized something frightening. Rachel knew more about my life than she should. Rachel's words hung in the air like something sharp. Lucy looked at me, confusion filling her eyes. Ethan. What does she mean? I opened my mouth to speak, but Rachel was faster. Lucy, she said calmly, men like him don't just appear in places like this by accident. Do you know who owns half of the companies sponsoring this event? Lucy hesitated. Tessie answered quietly. Ethan Cole Holdings. Lucy's eyes widened slowly. She turned back to me, really looking at me now. My suit, my watch, the people around me suddenly watching from a distance. Is that you? She asked. Are you that Ethan? I swallowed. Yes, I said, but not in the way she wants you to believe. Rachel laughed softly. Listen to him, always dramatic. Lucy stepped back slightly, her hand still on the necklace. Ethan, did you plan this? Did you know I would be here? No, I said quickly. I swear to you, I did not know. I only saw the necklace. That is all. Rachel raised an eyebrow. And you expect us to believe that? I looked at Lucy. I did not even know your surname. I did not know you were wealthy. The last time I saw you, you were a girl standing on a street, feeding a hungry boy. Lucy's lips trembled. Memories were rushing back to her face. I could see it. But Rachel was not done. Lucy, she said sharply, you forget too easily. Do you remember what happened after that day? Lucy went quiet, too quiet. My heart began to beat harder. What happened? I asked. Lucy looked away. Rachel smiled again. You see, he does not even know. Lucy whispered, Ethan, that day you were taken away. My stomach dropped. Taken away, I repeated. Lucy nodded slowly. After we left, Rachel told the driver to come back. I stared at her. Come back, for me, Tessie gasped. Rachel. Rachel did not deny it. He was a risk, she said plainly. A street boy clinging to a girl from a good family. I only corrected a mistake. Lucy's voice shook. They grabbed you. I fought them. I screamed. But what? I asked, my voice low. But you were gone, Lucy said, tears filling her eyes. They told me you were sent away from Lagos. that you would never come back. The ground beneath me felt unsteady. So that was it. I had always wondered why those men came for me that evening, why I was thrown into the back of a van, why I woke up far from the city, near a roadside town, with nothing but my clothes. I thought it was bad luck. It was not. It was Rachel. You ruined my life, Lucy said, finally turning on her. You lied to me. Rachel's face hardened. I protected you. Lucy shook her head. You broke something that did not belong to you. For the first time, Rachel looked unsettled. People around us were beginning to notice. Phones were coming out. Whispers spread. This is not the place, Tessie said urgently. We should leave. Rachel glanced around, then leaned closer to me. You may be rich now, she whispered, but do not forget, you are nothing, and I can remind people of that. I met her eyes calmly. You already did, I said, and I survived. Her smile disappeared. That night, I could not sleep. I sat alone in my penthouse, staring at the city lights of Lagos. Lucy's face kept appearing in my mind, her tears, her shock, the way she still touched the necklace like it was part of her. I had dreamed of meeting her again for years, but I never imagined it would hurt like this. My phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. We need to talk. Alone. I knew it was Lucy. I replied immediately. Me, where? The reply came after a long pause. Unknown number, tomorrow, noon. Old bookshop near Broad Street. My heart skipped. The next day felt slow. Every meeting annoyed me. Every call distracted me. At exactly noon, I arrived. The bookshop was quiet. Dusty shelves, old smell of paper. Lucy was already there. She was dressed simply. No guards, no Tessie, no Rachel, just Lucy. For a moment we only stared at each other. Then she said softly, You really became rich. I smiled faintly. I told you I would. She laughed, but it broke halfway. I did not know if you were alive, she said. For years I thought about you. So did I replied. She touched the necklace again. This kept me strong, even when life became confusing. I stepped closer. Lucy, I never blamed you. Not even once. Her eyes filled again, but I blamed myself. We sat, and slowly, carefully, we began to talk. She told me about her life, about wealth, about control, about how kindness was always questioned in her world. I told her about mine, about hunger, about work, about nights I promised myself I would never give up. When I finished, she whispered, You kept your word. Yes, I said, but the most important part was finding you. Silence followed. Then Lucy asked the question I feared. Ethan, why didn't you look for me sooner? I opened my mouth, then closed it. Because the truth was heavy. Before I could answer, the bell on the shop door rang. We both turned. Rachel walked in. Alone, her eyes locked onto Lucy. I told you not to see him, she said. Lucy stood up. And I told you to stop controlling my life. Rachel's gaze shifted to me. This is not over, she warned. I stood too. I know, I said, because deep down I could feel it. This was only the beginning. And the promise I made as a boy was about to be tested in ways I never imagined. Rachel did not shout, she did not threaten. That was what scared me the most. She simply looked at Lucy and said, If you walk out with him now, you will lose everything you have. The bookshop felt smaller. Lucy's jaw tightened. You always say that. And every time I am right, Rachel replied calmly. Your name, your inheritance, your place in society. You think the board will accept this? She glanced at me. A man with a past like his? Lucy turned to me. What does she mean by that? I exhaled slowly. Lucy, I said, there are things about my past you do not know. Things I planned to tell you when the time was right. Rachel smiled slightly. He means the parts he buried. Lucy looked between us. Ethan talked to me. Before I could speak, Rachel reached into her handbag and dropped a thin brown file onto the table. It slid toward Lucy. Read, she said. Lucy hesitated, then opened it. Her face changed with every page. Confusion, shock, disbelief. Finally, she looked up at me, her voice barely steady. You were arrested. Yes, I answered. Years ago. For what? She asked. Fraud, Rachel said smoothly. His first company collapsed. Investors lost money. His name was everywhere. Lucy's eyes searched mine. Is it true? I nodded. Yes, but it is not the full story. Rachel crossed her arms. The courts did not care about stories. Lucy stood up abruptly. Why am I hearing this now? Because she waited, I said quietly. She waited until you mattered again. Rachel's eyes flashed. Careful. Lucy pushed the file away. I am tired of secrets. She faced me fully. Ethan, tell me the truth. All of it. I took a breath. When I finally built my first business, I began, I trusted the wrong people. Jotham was one of them. Lucy blinked. Jotham? He was one of the boys from the street, I explained. He found me years later. I helped him. I gave him power. And he betrayed you? Lucy asked. Yes, I said. He used my name, signed deals without my knowledge. When everything crashed, he disappeared. Rachel interjected, and Ethan took the fall. Lucy whispered, That's why you disappeared for a while. Yes, I replied, but I fought back. I rebuilt. I made sure my name was cleared. Lucy looked down at the necklace again. You still came back, she said softly. You still became who you said you would be. Rachel scoffed. And what about now? You think loving him will be easy? The media will tear you apart. Lucy straightened. I am not a child, she said firmly. I can decide who I stand with. Rachel's voice dropped. Then decide wisely. She turned and walked out of the bookshop. The bell rang again. Silence followed. Lucy sat back down slowly. I need time, she said. I nodded. I understand. She looked at me, eyes full of emotion. But do not disappear again. I won't, I promised. As we stood to leave, my phone vibrated. A message from my security head. Security, Sir, Jotham has resurfaced. He is in Lagos. My chest tightened. Lucy noticed my expression. What is it? I looked at her and said the truth. The past is walking toward us. And somewhere deep inside me, I knew one thing clearly. Jotham did not come back by accident. Jotham came back into my life the same way he always did, quietly, dangerously. The message from my security head kept ringing in my head as Lucy and I walked out of the bookshop. Lagos traffic moved as usual. People laughed. Hawkers shouted prices. Life continued like nothing was about to break. But something was already breaking. Ethan, Lucy said gently, who is Jotham? I stopped walking. I had promised myself I would never say his name out loud again. He is the reason my life almost ended, I replied. That night I sat alone in my study, staring at old documents spread across the table. Company records, court papers, signed contracts that were never signed by me. Jotham's handwriting, Jotham's lies. I had picked him up from the street years after Lucy disappeared from my life, just like I once wished someone would pick me up. I gave him work, I gave him trust, and he sold my name to the highest bidder. By the time I realized what he had done, my company had collapsed, my accounts were frozen, and my face was all over the news. Rising entrepreneur arrested for fraud. I spent months fighting to clear my name, months learning that success attracts not just friends, but predators. I won eventually, but scars remain even after wounds heal. The next morning, Lucy called me. I saw the news online, she said quietly. Old articles, old pictures. I wanted to tell you myself, I replied. I know, she said. That's why I called. We met later that day at a quiet cafe overlooking the city. Lucy wore the necklace openly. I want you to know something, she said, looking straight at me. People like Rachel think wealth makes you clean. But I've lived long enough to know money only hides dirt. It doesn't remove it. I smiled sadly. You sound older. I am, she replied. Life forced me to grow up early. I reached across the table and gently touched the necklace. You kept your promise. She nodded. It reminded me that kindness still exists. That was when my phone rang again. This time it was a number I knew by heart. Jotham, I stood up slowly. Do not answer, Lucy said quickly. I have to, I replied. This ends today. I stepped away and answered. Ethan, Jotham's voice came through, smooth as ever. Long time. What do you want? I asked. To see you, he replied, like old times. There are no old times, I said, only consequences. He laughed, still dramatic. Meet me. Tonight. You owe me that. I owe you nothing, I replied. He lowered his voice. Ask Lucy what Rachel did to you that day. Ask her how much she knows. The line went dead. My hand shook. I walked back to Lucy. He wants to meet, I said. Lucy stood up immediately. No. I need to, I said, for both of us. That night I went alone, a quiet private lounge in Ikoyi. No cameras, no noise. Jotham was already there, dressed well, smiling like he never destroyed lives. Look at you, he said, standing up, from street boy to big man. You should be in prison, I replied. He shrugged. The world is funny like that. Why did you come back? I asked. Because Lucy is back in your life, he said calmly, and because Rachel called me. My chest tightened. She wants you gone, he continued, but she also wants Lucy controlled. I clenched my fist. Stay away from her. Jotham leaned closer. Or what? Or everything you buried comes out, I said. He stood shocked to his bones. I dropped a flash drive on the table. Every deal, every forged signature, every payment trail. I waited years to use it. His face darkened. You wouldn't. I was a homeless orphan, I said quietly. I learned patience early. Silence filled the room. Then Jotham stood up. You win, he said coldly. This time. He walked out, and I knew I had finally closed that chapter. Days later, Lucy and I stood on a balcony overlooking Lagos. Rachel had stepped back quietly. The board had questions. Power shifted, not because of shouting, but because truth is heavy. Lucy turned to me. Do you still remember what you said to me as a boy? I smiled. Every word. She laughed softly. You were brave and foolish. I still am, I replied. She touched the necklace again. You kept your promise. I shook my head. No, we both did. Below us the city moved, busy, broken, hopeful, like it always does. Lucy looked at me and said, Ethan, what happens next? I looked at Lagos, at the city that raised me, at the girl who fed me when I had nothing. And for the first time in my life, I answered honestly, God is the one who plans, but he's kept it confidential. But this time, I was not afraid of the future. Thank you for watching, besties. What's your view about this story? Which city are you watching from? Kindly let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.